They don't care about your dreams. They don't care about your struggle. They watch, silent, patient, waiting to see if you'll break. That's what this world does. It studies weakness. It senses fear. It feeds on hesitation. The moment you doubt yourself, it moves closer. They'll smile while they measure your limits. They'll praise you in daylight and question you in shadows. And when they see the smallest crack, they strike, fast, without emotion. Because this world doesn't reward good intentions, it rewards control. But you're not here to be pitied. You're here to become untouchable. Power doesn't chase validation. It creates it. It doesn't react. It observes. It doesn't crumble. It adapts. Most people spend their lives begging to be seen. The few who rise learn to move unseen, silent, disciplined, unreadable. They stop defending themselves and start mastering themselves, because in this world, the weak are broken and the strong are tested. Comment below. I was built for the test. Now, let's begin. The moment you decide to rise, the world changes its rules. It stops playing fair. It starts testing you, quietly, ruthlessly, to see if you truly deserve what you want. Every delay, every betrayal, every storm that hits you isn't random. It's deliberate. The world applies pressure to expose who's real and who's pretending. Pressure is truth. It strips away illusions and forces you to see what's underneath. When comfort is gone and silence becomes your only companion, that's when you meet yourself. The weak collapse under the weight of uncertainty. The strong adapt. They learn to move without applause, to rebuild without sympathy, to breathe even when surrounded by fire. Power doesn't need validation. It grows in darkness, patient, quiet, focused. The loud ones burn fast because they need to be seen. The disciplined ones move like shadows, controlled, unreadable, impossible to predict. Every wound becomes awareness. Every failure becomes a strategy. That's how strength is built, not in peace, but in pressure. So when life presses against you, don't react, observe, don't fight for attention, command respect through your silence. Let every obstacle become your training ground, because once you learn to stay composed under chaos, you become something this world can't manipulate. Comment below. Pressure made me untouchable. Because the world doesn't hate you, it's shaping you into someone it can't break. Control is the highest form of power. Not control over others, control over yourself. The man who masters his emotions becomes untouchable because nothing external can dictate his next move. The world can provoke him, betray him, threaten him, but it cannot read him. And what cannot be read cannot be controlled. Weak men react. Strong men calculate. Every reaction exposes your weakness. Every emotional outburst hands someone else your power. Machiavelli understood this. Power is not seized by those who shout the loudest, but by those who can remain calm when everyone else is breaking. The quiet man holds the real advantage. His silence forces others to reveal themselves. His patience makes them restless. His indifference becomes their obsession. While they fight for attention, he observes patterns. While they chase recognition, he collects leverage. That's how control operates, quietly, invisibly, without noise. Discipline is emotional warfare. It's the art of feeling everything but showing nothing. It's walking through chaos with an expression that never changes. When you control your reactions, you dictate the pace of the entire game. The more unpredictable you become, the less power anyone has over you. So, from now on, stop explaining, stop proving, stop defending, just act. Every word, every move, every silence, make it intentional. Let your composure confuse them. Let your calmness unsettle them. Because in a world ruled by impulse, the man who controls himself rules everyone else. Comment below, I move with control. Because once you master your reactions, the world starts reacting to you. Power isn't given, it's perceived. It exists in the mind before it ever exists in reality. The strong understand this. They don't chase control, they project it. They know that perception creates submission long before authority does. People obey not because they're forced to, but because they believe resistance is pointless. That's the true psychology of power. Fear is the most efficient form of respect. It doesn't require approval, only recognition. The presence of a disciplined mind unsettles the weak, because it reflects everything they are not: focused, unshakable, cold. They fear what they can't predict. They envy what they can't influence. And the more you control your presence, the more they sense your dominance. Machiavelli understood this long before modern psychology did. Men follow those who can command emotion without showing it. The powerful man doesn't need to raise his voice. His calm becomes pressure. His silence becomes intimidation. His confidence, when paired with restraint, feels like gravity, inescapable and absolute. Most people confuse power with aggression. They think being feared means being loud, violent, unstable. But true fear is quiet. It's the awareness that someone knows exactly what they're doing while you're still trying to understand. Real power doesn't chase conflict. It creates inevitability. So, walk with control, speak with purpose, and look with precision. Make your presence feel like consequence. Let them sense that testing you has a price. Because power isn't about domination, it's about certainty. The man who knows himself completely becomes a force the world instinctively respects. Comment below, "My calm is my power." Because the moment you master fear, yours and theirs, you no longer follow the rules. You become the one who writes them. Silence is not weakness, it's warfare. Every moment you hold your tongue, you deny the world a weapon it could use against you. The impulsive talk to fill space. The disciplined stay quiet and build pressure, because silence unsettles people. It makes them question what you're thinking, what you know, what you're planning. And in that uncertainty, you gain control. The greatest power is not in speaking, it's in making others speak first. The loud reveal themselves, the emotional expose their weaknesses. But the silent man? He becomes a mirror. He reflects everyone else's fear back at them. That's why composure terrifies the unprepared. They can't manipulate what they can't read. Machiavelli understood that strategy is a game of patience. The wise don't move constantly, they move correctly. Every word, every glance, every silence has intention. The man who speaks only when necessary commands more attention than the one who never stops talking. When you act from stillness, your moves carry weight. They create shock. They shift dynamics. So hold your plans close. Let your success appear sudden. Let your opponents drown in their own assumptions while you move unseen. The quiet man doesn't chase opportunity. He designs it. He doesn't need to be heard. He needs to be effective. Remember this: the world respects noise but obeys silence. Restraint is not suppression, it's strategy. Speak only when it strengthens your position. Move only when it ends the game. Everything else is distraction. Comment below, "My silence speaks power." Because true strength isn't about showing the world your plan. It's about moving before anyone even realizes you had one. Isolation isn't loneliness, it's transformation. The weak run from it because they fear silence. The strong embrace it because they understand that solitude is where clarity is born. When the world goes quiet, you start to hear the truth about who you are, what you want, and what you must become to get it. Most people drown in noise because it distracts them from their own reflection. They stay surrounded so they never have to face themselves. But isolation forces confrontation. It strips away illusion. It shows you your weaknesses without mercy and demands that you refine them. That's why it feels uncomfortable. Growth always does. Machiavelli believed that isolation is the training ground of kings. Because when you learn to think alone, you learn to lead alone. The man who stands comfortable in solitude becomes dangerous, because his strength no longer depends on the validation of others. He moves when he chooses, speaks when necessary, and owes nothing to anyone. Use your solitude like a forge. Let every hour spent alone sharpen your focus. Let the absence of distraction build your discipline. The world fears the man who can stand in silence and remain certain of who he is, because that man cannot be bought, manipulated, or swayed. He's already complete within himself. So don't chase crowds, don't seek noise, let your isolation become your empire. Every great mind was once misunderstood, every great leader once alone. Solitude doesn't break the strong, it builds them into something untouchable. Comment below, I rise in silence, because the man who conquers isolation conquers everything. Discipline is the purest form of strength. It's the point where emotion ends and control begins. Most men move only when they feel like it. The disciplined move whether they feel it or not. That's why the world bends to them. They don't chase motivation, they build momentum. Every action, every routine, every silent repetition turns chaos into order. Discipline is the weapon that separates the temporary from the timeless. The weak depend on inspiration. The strong depend on consistency. While others seek comfort, the disciplined seek structure. They understand that every sacrifice compounds into power. Every moment of restraint becomes another brick in their foundation. Machiavelli taught that control starts within. A man who cannot command himself cannot command anything. Discipline is not restriction, it's liberation. It frees you from distraction, from weakness, from the noise of others. It teaches you to act with purpose, not impulse. The disciplined man doesn't waste time proving himself. His results speak. His presence demands respect without words. Because mastery isn't built in victory, it's built in repetition, in self-command, in the quiet hours no one sees. Comment below, discipline is my power. Because the man who controls himself eventually controls everything around him. Emotion is not your enemy. Losing control of it is. Most men let their feelings command them. Powerful men learn to command their feelings. Control doesn't mean suppression, it means precision. You don't hide emotion, you weaponize it. Every reaction is a move on the board, every silence a strike in disguise. In psychological warfare, composure is dominance. When others explode in anger, you watch. When they panic, you calculate. The calm man becomes the most feared man in the room because he can't be manipulated. He feels everything but shows nothing, and that unsettles people more than rage ever could. Machiavelli understood that emotion is currency. Show it too freely and you lose value. Spend it strategically and you shape perception. A moment of cold detachment can break alliances. A flash of empathy can build them. Every expression, every pause, every glance should serve a purpose. Nothing should ever be accidental. Most people are emotional slaves. They dance to every impulse. But the disciplined man bends emotion into strategy. He knows when to appear passionate, when to appear indifferent, and when to appear ruthless. Because image controls reaction, and reaction controls outcome. Comment below, I control the battlefield within. Because once you master your emotions, no enemy outside can ever defeat you. Power is not chaos, it's balance. Too much mercy and people take advantage of you. Too much aggression and they unite against you. True power lives between both. Cold, controlled, deliberate. The strong man understands that dominance isn't about constant force, it's about timing. You don't strike often, you strike once and make sure it counts. The world doesn't respect extremes, it respects equilibrium. Be kind, but never soft. Be ruthless, but never careless. Power demands discipline, the ability to switch from compassion to calculation in a single breath. Machiavelli understood that leadership isn't about being loved or feared, it's about being unshakable in the choice between them. Never confuse humility with submission. The powerful can bow without bending. They can forgive without forgetting. They can smile while still holding the knife of consequence. That's balance, the ability to stay human without ever becoming harmless. Those who lack this duality are either tyrants or victims, but those who master it become rulers of their own world. Your strength must feel like calm danger, predictable only to you. Let your control make people uncertain of your limits. Let your composure make them second-guess their intentions. The quiet man who can be both gentle and devastating is the one no one dares to test twice. Remember this: balance is not peace, it's power in equilibrium. It's the art of knowing when to restrain and when to strike, when to disappear and when to dominate. The world belongs to those who can hold both the sword and the silence. Comment below, I move between calm and chaos, because true power isn't about destroying everything, it's about knowing that you could and choosing when to. In the end, your legacy won't be built on noise, it will be built on perception. Power is not what you say, it's what others believe about you when you say nothing. Every action, every silence, every decision shapes the story the world tells in your name. The weak try to convince others they are strong. The powerful make others feel it without saying a word. Control begins within, but legacy begins in perception. You don't need everyone to understand you. You only need them to remember how you made them feel: uncertain, cautious, respectful. Machiavelli knew this. Influence doesn't require truth, it requires belief. The wise man controls his image like a weapon, revealing enough to inspire, concealing enough to intimidate. Reputation is a shadow of your control. It must be managed carefully. Be predictable in discipline, but unpredictable in action. Let consistency define your character and mystery define your reach. The more they try to define you, the less they'll understand you, and that confusion becomes your armor. Never defend your image, direct it. Never chase recognition, create it. The moment you start explaining yourself, you lower your value. Let your actions do the speaking, your silence do the convincing, and your presence do the commanding. Because in a world addicted to appearance, composure becomes your crown. Your legacy is not built by chance, it's crafted through controlled perception. Every interaction, every response, every display of restraint adds to your myth. The goal isn't to be liked or followed, it's to be remembered as inevitable. Comment below, my presence defines perception. Because the man who masters how he's seen no longer needs to prove who he is. Real power isn't in force or fame, it lives in the mind, calm, focused, untouchable. The world can strip you of everything, status, comfort, people, but it cannot take your control unless you hand it over. The man who commands his mind commands his fate, because no matter what breaks around him, he remains unbroken within. The unbreakable mind doesn't react, it observes. It doesn't run from pain, it studies it. Every loss becomes intelligence. Every scar becomes instruction. That's how power evolves, quietly, relentlessly, without emotion. Weak men wait for luck. Disciplined men build inevitability. They adapt, they calculate, and they never repeat the same mistake twice. Machiavelli taught that no ruler survives on emotion. The strong learn to bend chaos into order, to turn fear into awareness, and pain into precision. True mastery begins when nothing external has the power to move you off course. That's what separates the fragile from the formidable. Control in the storm. You will be tested again. You'll be betrayed, doubted, underestimated. Let them. Every attack is another test of endurance. Pressure doesn't crush the unbreakable, it defines it. The calm mind sees opportunity where others see endings. It doesn't need validation, applause, or approval. It only needs purpose. Remember this, peace isn't found, it's built inside. Loyalty isn't given, it's earned through silence and consistency. The unbreakable mind doesn't seek to escape struggle. It turns struggle into strength. Comment below, my mind cannot be broken. Because the world breaks the weak and tests the strong, and you were built to conquer both. Now, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. This is Machiavelli's discipline.